How the hell do you do this to Chris Paul? Now, this is a future Hall of Famer who come there for the last year in his career. I don't give a damn what's going on with the team. They're trash right now. We understand that. They have the worst superstar in the sport in Kawhi Leonard, who is a talent when healthy, no doubt, but does nothing to promote his team nor the game of basketball. The absolute worst superstar that you could possibly have. And from what I've been told, the only person that really talks to him is CP3 because nobody else talks to him. Okay? Just leave him alone. That organization right now is a mess. It's a mess, okay? I know, and we know it ain't coaching because Tyronn Lue the coach. Tyronn Lue know what the hell he doing. Now, Jeff Van Gundy being there, we know Jeff Van Gundy knows stuff with these old school, stuff like that. I get it. I have not spoken to CP3 yet, but you know I will. Okay, I haven't spoken to a few of the Clippers. They know they'll be good. They know if I don't get a call from them, they'll be getting a call from me within the next 24 hours.
The Los Angeles Clippers have survived every form of chaos you can throw at a franchise: drama, heartbreak, shattered dreams, non-stop rumors. But what went down late Tuesday night, that wasn't just another chapter. That was a cold shock straight to the heart. What happened with Chris Paul felt harsher than anything this team has ever gone through. It was like the whole organization cracked from the inside out. At 2:40 a.m. Eastern, in the middle of a long 5-game road trip, inside a quiet Atlanta hotel room, Chris Paul picked up his phone and dropped an Instagram post that hit the league like a live explosive. He shared the news he had just learned seconds earlier. Just found out I'm being sent home. No goodbye, no respect, no explanation. A message so raw it shook fans, players, and media out of their sleep instantly. And the wild part? It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was real.
But you on your way out, and we 5 and 16, and this nigga T. Lue ain't talking to me. Hey, check this out. We already in Charlotte.
Name some other superstar that got done.
You gonna send me home?
Try to force their hand.
It's an early Christmas for me.
It did seem peculiar that because we knew this was probably going to be his last season, but to make the announcement.
Yeah, forcing their hand, bro. Listen, that shit's so calculated, bro. Listen, one thing we know, Chris Paul is a smart individual. Shit was calculated.
He said enough shit to get his ass kicked off that team.
Yeah. Shit was calculated, dog. So what everybody want to say what is just what it is, man. It's a hell of a basketball player. Tough to be teammates with it, right?
I think,
like I said, there's nothing wrong with holding guys accountable, right?
This thing is
Clippers, bro.
Nothing wrong with it. And nothing wrong with holding your teammates accountable. Want to get the best out of guys when they going, but how you going about it, though?
Don't hold me accountable if you can't do it.
Hours later, the Clippers confirmed everything, ripping the bandage off in public like they weren't worried about how messy it looked at all. Chris Paul, released. A reunion that was supposed to be emotional, warm, meaningful, a real final chapter, suddenly flipped into a cold, chaotic breakup under the brightest neon lights anyone could imagine. The league froze. Old teammates didn't know what to say, and Clippers fans, already frustrated with a brutal 5-16 start, just sat there stunned. Only 5 months earlier, Paul had signed a 1-year, $3.6 million contract to come back to the place where he built his name. 5 All-Star selections, Lob City, the culture shift that turned the Clippers from an afterthought into a movement. And he didn't come back for fame, minutes, or a starting job. He came back for one thing: to retire as a Clipper. At his intro press conference, he said it straight up: "I just wanted to be home by any means necessary." And on November 22nd, he made it official by telling the world this season was his last ride. 6 days later, the Clippers honored him with a tribute video inside the brand new Intuit Dome, posting it proudly with the caption, "CP3 will end his Hall of Fame career at home." It felt real, it felt right, it felt like a full circle moment finally happening. But 4 nights later, home became the exact place they sent him back to.
It's kind of like a slap on the back on your way out type of thing. You know, I was present when Blake Griffin was traded. You know, my personal situation. This is a person that told me I can relax. I'm not getting traded. 15 minutes later, I was an Atlanta Hawk. And now we have this scenario. So, and you guys been working for me. This is going on year 3 now. I've held my tongue and not been critical of L. Frank because that's not really my style. And I didn't want to be the scorned ex-girlfriend. I didn't want to be that person. And so I never spoke about him in this manner. But when you do this to a guy, and I'm gonna keep harping on it, That 3 was going up in the rafters. That 3 was going up. And you do this to that guy? Like, okay, cool, he's talking shit. Okay, cool, he got a lot to say. Chris Paul has always had a lot to say. You know what you're signing up for when you sign Chris Paul. He's always had a lot to say. You know that. You know he's in a...
Faster than anyone could even make sense of it. 1 minute, he's a legend getting celebrated in front of thousands, and the next minute, he's packing his bags at 3 a.m. Chris Paul and the Clippers have been through ups and downs before, but nothing ever punched this hard or this suddenly. The vibes weren't warm anymore. No support, no unity, just silence and straight-up confusion. And according to ESPN's Shams Charania, this tension wasn't new. It had been simmering for weeks. Paul's leadership, the same leadership people praised for nearly 20 years, suddenly started clashing with the team in a way nobody expected. Reports even said Tyronn Lue hadn't spoken to him in weeks, which is wild for a veteran of his status. Chris Paul felt the whole energy shift around him. He heard the whispers saying he was becoming a negative presence, so he asked for a meeting to clear the air and get everyone aligned again. But Lue didn't just delay it, he straight up refused. And for a franchise that promoted this season like a farewell tour for one of its biggest legends, that refusal said everything loud and clear. The relationship wasn't cracked, it was cooked beyond repair. Everyone in the league knows Chris Paul's personality: intense, demanding, sharp. He's a perfectionist, a leader who pushes people to hit a higher level, and none of that has ever been a secret. Not to the Clippers, not to Lue, not to anyone who's ever shared a locker room with him. When they brought CP3 back, they knew exactly who they were getting. They just didn't expect him to hold them to the same standard he's always lived by. Reports say Paul became even more vocal as the season spiraled into one of the worst starts the franchise has seen in years. He pushed coaches to tighten things up, pushed management to make adjustments, and pushed teammates who looked like they were searching for answers on every possession. What the Clippers labeled disruptive, Paul probably saw as real, honest leadership. In his world, accountability is the engine that drives every successful team he's ever tried to build. But on a roster drowning in confusion, that same accountability suddenly felt unwanted.
I'm a bit confused, more than a bit. I just don't understand. You couldn't have a conversation. Like, everybody knows who Chris Paul is. He's one of the most decorated, one of the best point guards in the history of our game. And you send him home like he's a child, it's kind of crazy to me. You knew who he was, you knew how he acted, you know what he brings to the table. So for you to like I said, treat him this way is very bad on the Clippers organization. I hope for Chris's sake it's not worse, but I hope for the Clippers organization that there's something more than just him being a distraction in the locker room where you can't have a conversation. Because this is not enough. This is not enough to send a 20-year vet, when most places, one of the best point guards in the history of our game, home. And when you guys are playing such bad basketball in the beginning of this.
On Wednesday, Clippers president Lawrence Frank stepped in front of reporters looking tense and stressed while answering questions about Chris Paul, Ty Lue, and a season falling apart at full speed. He explained that Paul and the team had a 3-hour meeting before CP3 was sent home, insisting Chris has a very good leadership style. Then he followed it with, some moves work, some don't. Like he was trying to keep the entire franchise from publicly cracking right there at the podium. Chris Paul even said, I own that, taking responsibility like a veteran who's been in the fire before. But the way things unfolded, the optics screamed something totally different. He didn't just get released, he got pulled off the road trip out of nowhere, sent home by himself, and left to tell the entire world the news on Instagram. If that was gratitude, it came wrapped in sharp edges and cold timing. Lawrence Frank kept standing behind Tyronn Lue in every interview, calling him one of the best coaches in the league and promising he'd be leading the Clippers for a long time. And to everyone watching, it was painfully clear. The organization had picked their side, and they weren't hiding it. This season was supposed to be CP3's farewell tour, a smooth, respectful last chapter for a Hall of Fame career.
CP3, I've had some history.
He holds the ball 24 seconds. Chris Paul. Pass that to James or somebody.
Him and LeBron, they came to a game. I was in 11th grade, and I'm excited. I'm a Chris Paul fan. And then he was just like,
You gotta rephrase that.
What?
It's a one-sided.
I'm just saying it's not. You said with each other. I think only one. There was a lack of respect for Mr.
No, I don't think Chris Paul seen it.
I feel like Chris Paul is the last true point guard we'll ever have at that size. I know when I was growing up, we were taught how to be a point guard like Chris Paul. So he is definitely the definition of a true point guard, and he's done it for a long time. Everywhere he's went, he's won. Congratulations to him. We'll never see another small point guard at that size anymore, that dominant.
Instead, the Clippers turned it into a live demonstration of how fast a franchise can slide into confusion and chaos. And Lou Williams, yeah, he didn't hold anything back. He said the breaking point wasn't Chris Paul's tone, it was the fact that CP3 called out the front office publicly. Basically, they didn't like the messenger, so they tried to delete the message. Across the league, former players, execs, and reporters were saying the same thing. The Clippers didn't need less accountability, they needed way more. But instead of fixing the problems, they pushed out the one guy who still demanded the standard. That's wild, especially when your season is already falling apart. Now Chris Paul is stuck in basketball limbo. He can't be traded until December 15th, and the Clippers haven't waived him either. So he's just floating, a Hall of Famer sitting between chapters tied to a franchise that looks like it has no idea where it's heading. His contract is guaranteed, his legacy is respected everywhere he goes, his resume is spotless, yet in his final NBA season, he's without a team, without a role, and without the farewell he absolutely earned. Meanwhile, the Clippers keep tripping over their own feet, staring at a 2026 first-round pick they desperately need, but don't even own. That pick belongs to the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team built on the exact assets LA gave up in the Paul George deal. Now the Clippers are stuck with a shaky present, a culture cracking in real time, and a future that looks rough on paper. And the one guy who tried to speak up, the one guy who called it out early, he's the same guy they sent packing at 3 a.m. Chris Paul never asked for some fairy tale ending, but he did earn a respectful one. A real goodbye, a sit-down conversation, a handshake, something grown, something honest, something with dignity. Chris Paul didn't deserve a lonely spotlight at 3 a.m. That's not a farewell. That's a cold send-off that no legend should ever get. What happened wasn't just a hit to his resume, it was a hit to the entire story the Clippers sold their fan base all season long. They told everyone he was coming home. They said this was the place he'd retire. They pushed the whole family angle hard. And then, the second things got uncomfortable, they treated him like he was the problem instead of the foundation he helped build years ago. They preached loyalty, but delivered distance. They promised respect, but handed him a silent exit. The whole homecoming marketing suddenly looked like shiny wrapping paper covering an empty box. Fans didn't just feel confused, they felt played. And honestly, maybe Chris Paul saw the cracks before anyone else did. Maybe he was right the entire time. And maybe the Clippers proved it themselves in the harshest way possible right in front of everybody.